First of four, high-speed internet is something many of us take for granted.
But lawmakers say here in Idaho, 100,000 families still do not have access to reliable internet, cutting them off from valuable opportunities. U.S. Senator Mike Crapo from here in Idaho has introduced a new bill that aims to bolster broadband in our rural areas.
Our Jude Binkley spoke with Senator Crapo about this legislation. Jude, what can you tell us?
Well, Brenda, Joe, this bill would increase internet infrastructure in rural areas by making tech giants help pay for it. In today's digital world, reliable internet access isn't just convenient, it's essential for work, education, and staying connected.
Anybody's connection to the rest of the world right now is pretty much broadband.
But many Idahoans still lack access to high-speed internet.
There's 100,000 families in rural areas and other parts of Idaho that do not have broadband access. And this issue for rural communities has been going on for a couple of decades.
U.S. Senator Mike Crapo has introduced a new bill to bridge the digital divide called the Lowering Broadband Costs for Consumers Act of 2025. The bill would reform the FCC's current Universal Service Fund that helps pay for getting broadband into rural areas that aren't profitable for companies to serve.
That's been going on for years, and it was a tax on long-distance phone calls. And as most people will understand, there aren't a lot of those going on hardwired long-distance phone calls anymore. And so the source of revenue for this Universal Service Fund has been seriously pressurized.
The bill would create a new source of funding to pay for rural broadband services by implementing a tax on tech companies that are considered edge providers.
The edge companies are companies like Google and X and the big providers who help get the broadband access points closer to different parts of our economy.
Senator Crapo introduced the bill with bipartisan support alongside senators from Oklahoma, Arizona, and North Dakota.
What that says is that it really has a good chance because in today's politics here in Washington, D.C., being able to find issues on which there is not a partisan battle, it gives you a significant improved ability to get your legislation through.
Senator Crapo says any progress on the bill will likely wait until after President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill clears Congress. A divided Senate is debating it after the House narrowly approved.
And we're doing a lot of reform of our government in that bill, and that bill is basically sucking all the oxygen out of the room here in Washington right now. So what needs to happen is we need to get that bill done so that we can go back into what we call regular order and start working on bipartisan projects. If we can get to that point, and I'm hopeful that we'll get there relatively soon, then we will be able to start moving this legislation and many other pieces forward.
Senator Crapo says since this bill is still tax policy, it can still certainly be a controversial topic, but Joe, Brenda, he says broader bipartisan support could ultimately help it move in Washington.
And we know there are so many things like this that are waiting on the big, beautiful bill. There's a goal of having July 4th being enacted. Critics say that won't happen. Supporters say they will be celebrating on the 4th of July. Jude, we will continue to follow. Thank you so much.